this is edifying and straight to the point. Just bear with me real quick. There's been live, so kind of spontaneous. Plus. Let's see if I can hear. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. So I guess I can hear, even though it got like that little staticky sound in the background, but it doesn't matter. We gotta still bring this out. Lord willing, this is edifying. Lord willing, this is edifying and straight to the point. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the one true power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same spirit and in the sound doctrine. Lord willing, as a whole, that y'all all continue in sound doctrine. Those that are scattered four corners of the earth, teaching us what and believing in His word. And Lord willing, you know, Yahweh Most High has mercy on my other brothers and sisters that's not in faith. And shalom to the Aquaf, the sisters of His faith and His truth. Lord willing, you continue to pursue your lot. So the title of this lesson, you know, is surrounded by 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, verse 54 to 59. And, you know, watching, you know, the apostles live last night, it was a point that he said something dealing with 2nd Esdras 6 and 55, where he made the word for our sake, and how he was just going off of certain things that symbolize the 12 tribes, like 12 hours in a day, 12 hours in a night, is 12 months. What else did he say? The 12 apostles, still symbolic to the 12 tribes of Israel. Hold on. There's multiple points that they had said. And I'm like, wow. What else? Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, 12,000 out of each tribe. You got the 12th part. I believe that's in 2nd Esdras, the 14th or the 12th chapter. Just multiple things that he had said, and I'm like, dang. You know, but he made the worlds for our sake. So that inspired me to do this lesson. Lord willing, again, it's edifying. You see the title I put in parentheses, the Most High Order among the nations. So though all nations were created by the Most High, Israel was chosen as His special portion, and the elect must understand their identity with humility and purpose, right? And we fully understand who we is, you know, by being a student. Romans, the 10th chapter, verse 14, you know, and multiple other precepts, we need to be fast to listen. Each lesson before we're ready to rebuke and shake the hand out. So let me get this. I think this Bible right here might actually be in GNT. Yes, it is. So this is 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 54. It says, after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. Right? He is a separation. All people come from Adam as a whole, right? And even the chosen come from Adam. which is 18 nations. Is 18 nations in there. So all nations come from Adam, but one nation is actually chosen, or a chosen people, which through the Spirit, because I'm going through this, uh, 2nd Esdras 6, 54 to 59. Lord willing, I'm going to be able to do a lesson on 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter, verse 24 to 27, 27 being the key. Okay? So let's go to Genesis. So go to Genesis chapter 1. And not saying, because all nations come from Adam, when we look at bloodline, right? Because before it was people, which we would say is Canaanites, right? Hamites, right? But Adam was the one that had the breath of life, right? And we see more of a distinction from the righteous and the unrighteous seed from the loins of Adam. So this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. It says, and the Most High said, the Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over all the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creepy thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the Elohim created man in his own image, and in the image the Elohim created he, him, male and female created he, them. And the Elohim blessed them, and the Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And the Elohim said, behold, I have given to every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and that which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. Okay? Genesis 2 and 7, which this is just plain. And Yahweh, the Most High, formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And that started with Adam, right? That living soul is the breath of life, which actually is, that form of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, righteousness. Let's get Acts the 17th chapter. Acts chapter 17, verse 26. It says, and have made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and have determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their inhabitation. So before separation and covenant, humanity shared a common origin, establishing the Most High as the creator of all. Especially when we go back to Genesis, right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is the creator of all nations, even going all the way to the time of Noah, or the time of the sons of God, which is really through the loins of Sheth, Adam's son, second son, because Cain killed his other brother Abel. Let me make sure. Right here. This is Genesis chapter 4, verse 25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For the Elohim said, she have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And Seth, to him also there were born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh, right? And again, eventually we get into Adam's descendants, Seth's descendants, Enos' descendants, Canaan's descendants, uh, yeah, um, so on and so on. And I think the last one going all the way to Noah, right? And then chapter 6, it deals with man's wickedness in the earth. Yahweh is king. So back to 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 55. It says, all this have I spoken. Let me read 54 again. And after these, Adam also whom thou hast made us Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. So as soon as we get past Noah and Genesis the 6th chapter, the flood come in the 7th chapter. Then in the 10th chapter, you got Noah's descendants, Japheth's descendants, Ham descendants, Shem descendants. So all nations is coming back through the loins of Noah's son, Shem, Japheth, and Ham. Okay, so all nations come through Adam, going all the way to Noah and his 3 sons. Okay, so verse 55, 2nd Ezra 6 and 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake. So Esdras is an Israelite. So though all came from Adam, Israel alone was chosen. Let's just back that up, because there's no other verse, especially in the beginning of the first 5 books of the Bible, where we find any other nation is chosen. So let's just get to these points. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, verse 6, it says, for thou art a holy people, which holy is Kodash, which means set apart, people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Right? The Lord chose who to be special. Let me see if we can actually get it. What I'll do is, because the title of my Bible would say, the Most High has chosen Israel. But better yet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Deuteronomy, the 1st chapter, verse 1. It says, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on the side of Jordan in the wilderness. Right? That's the main point. Moses was speaking to the 12 tribes of Israel. So when you read Deuteronomy 7 and 6, Yahweh have chosen thee to be a special people, he was speaking about the children of Israel. So when we go back to 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, verse 55, he made the world for our sakes. Whose sake? The Israelites. Yes, I am a Hebrew Israelite. I believe I am a Hebrew Israelite. How? Because of the word and by faith. So let's go to Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, and let's read verse 2. It says, for thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power, and Yahweh have chosen thee to be a peculiar, which is special people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. Out of 18 nations, one nation is above all nations on the earth. Right? This is not a man's choice. This is Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai's choice. Let's even see how even more this was chosen in the heavens before it was even established in the earth. We can just get this classic that I'm always bringing out. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, the 46th chapter. Verse 10, it says, declaring the end from the beginning, And from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasures. The Lord declared the end from the beginning. So what was already established, that the children of Israel would, the children of Israel is above all nations on earth, plain and simple. This is another thing that was symbolic that the elder said last night that made sense, where they were saying when the tablets, the laws was written on tablet stone, synonymous with what's going to happen to the children of Israel, right? When we go to Ezekiel the 36th chapter, the Lord already knew through the Spirit that the children of Israel was going to fall away or break the covenant. Where is it at? Let me see. I want to get it straight to the point. Okay, this is Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25. It says, then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Right? Now, again, the Lord declared the end from the beginning. Everything that was set up, writing the law on the stone, dealing with the tabernacle, dealing with the temple, setting up the Levites, was all a foreshadow of Yahushua, all a foreshadow of the temple that Yahushua was building. Which, when we looked at the tabernacle, the Lord was dwelling with us in the tabernacle, dwelling with us in the temple, on the mercy seat. But now, this spiritual temple, the Lord is dwelling in this temple, our body. He's dwelling in the temple of his truth, which is really the elect, right? If you abide in him, he abides in you. Everything is a foreshadow, right, of what the Lord is already planning to set up in the future. Okay? Jake has a stony heart. We're a rebellious nation. We're stubborn. Okay? So it was meant for us to fall, right? Because, again, Jake, starting with Adam, we were supposed to be immortal. Because being in his flesh, we was made to go off. Let me just get this in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, verse 18. It says, let me make sure, nope, that might actually be a different translation. So this 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 18, it says, and now when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, right, which is Yahushua, is the Heavenly Father's blueprint, and Yahushua is going to be the hand, right, even with the powers that he created to make the things you see and don't see, the heavens and the earth, right? So when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, the earth is not made yet, even for them to dwell in that now live. So preparing the world was not yet made for them to dwell in that now live. So if the earth is not made, who is now living? Going back to the elect of Israel, right? That was already orchestrated, starting with the men, right? The Prince of Power, the sons of God. They were with Yahushua before the world was created. No man spake against me, for then everyone obeyed. But now the manner of them which are created in this world that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, and by a law which is unsearchable rid themselves, right? And fully we get corrupt because of this flesh being in the chain of darkness, right? So even when we go back to 2nd Esdras 6, which in other verses in here, which is going to hit even more, why is these nations ruling over us if they're spittle? But let's continue with the point of 2nd Esdras 6 and 55. All of this have I spoken before thee, O Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, because thou madest the world for our sakes. Who? The Israelites. Okay, I'm going to read that person's comment, but let's get these other precepts before I do. Let's go to Isaiah, the 41st chapter. It's Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8 and 9. It says, But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant. I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away. And this all starts with Abraham being in the land of Ur, right, with his fathers, his brothers, his kindred, and they were actually worshiping idols. But the Lord looked at the heart, right? And that's the same mindset. We were around idols, Gentile mindset. The Lord chose Abraham and said, yo, I'm going to choose a land for you and your descendants. I'm going to need you to go. Let's actually go to it. Everything is a foreshadow of how this truth is now. Right? Let's just go to it. Let me just read this person's comment. They said, which one we want? We want, I think, Genesis 12. The person said, it's so sad to see how far Israel has fallen from the Lord. They crucify him, even modern Israel does not claim him. Yeah, majority of Israel do not claim, Yahweh and Yahushua. But it was set up that way. So it is sad, but truly it's not. The one thing is that we should be happy that Revelations 11 and 11 is happening today, where the breath of life is coming upon those that actually believe. Those that don't believe is not getting the breath of life because it wasn't set for them. That's why what I keep saying, everything is a foreshadow. Noah, that whole time of wickedness reaching to the heaven, the Lord destroyed the earth with a flood, that's a foreshadow of what's to come. The Lord is not going to flood the earth on this side, but it's going to be a fire. And it's going to be the elect on this side, because 2nd Esdras 8, to start the world over, the Lord just has to save a few. So the same thing with Noah is going to happen again. This is why he spoke about it in the gospel, right? Just the same as in the time of Noah, in the time of Lot, they married, they had wine. So just as in when the coming of the Son of the Most High, Yahweh Shai, when he returns, people are going to be married, they're going to have a party, and it's going to be unexpected, just like that flood, just like the fire and brimstone coming down. But only the elect, Abraham, foreshadow, he interceded the angel through the spirit, which is Yahweh Shai, saying, hey, if you find 50, is you going to destroy it? He said no, but only who got out? Lot and his 2 daughters. Okay, that's a small from the many. So it's the same on this side. The Lord is going to preserve, or really give salvation, deliver the elect on this side, just like he did in the time of Noah and in the time of Lot. So as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. That is a full fact. Everything is a foreshadow. What we read in Isaiah 46 and 10, the Lord declared the end from the beginning. This is why things is set up the way they is. So now I'm about to read this point about Abraham. All of, same thing that happened with Abraham is happening with the children of Israel. So this is Genesis, starting at chapter 11. I'm going to read this point, and then we can go down to chapter 12. So this is Genesis chapter 11, verse 12. Now these are the generation of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, uh, Haran, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram, Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, and she had no child. Do you want this? Do you want this? Okay, so chapter 12, verse 1, it says, Now Yahweh has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So even the Heavenly Father called Abraham from his own family, his father's house, and his kindred, to go to a land that he was going to give his descendants, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, into the 12 tribes of Israel, which is the land of Canaan. Verse 4, And Abraham departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that had gathered, and the souls that had been gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Now, like what the Lord said, are you going to serve the fathers on the other side of the flood? On the other side of flood is synonymous with Abraham's father, his kindred, his people. They were worshiping in false idol, false gods, right? So in the same sense, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua looked at Abraham's heart, right, which was raised in false belief, right? But the Lord looked at Abraham's heart and chose him. And Abraham left his family, and the Lord chose Lot. Again, Jeremiah 17:10, the Lord searched the hearts and tried to reign and give every man according to his ways, right? And through the Spirit, if you look at Lot, you look at Abraham, those were just men in the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? And if we look at Abraham's father, he was moving like a Gentile, right? And it's the same with Israel. Let's go to Ephesians 2:11. The same thing that's fulfilled about the ministry of Paul teaching the Gentiles, right? This is Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. It says, Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. You can't use this for no other nation, because physical circumcision started with Abraham. And those that was dwelling in his house, servants, they had to get circumcised too. But future reference of circumcision is speaking about circumcision of the heart. Again, another example of circumcision is those that were still in the law, that were still following the customs of the law, going back to the Greek captivity, where you will be put to death. A lot of people had to be secretive of actually keeping the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The uncircumcision is those that wasn't raised in the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. When we look at Timothy, his father was a Greek, right? Eventually, Paul became Timothy's spiritual father. All Israel eventually, future reference. All of this is a foreshadow. What happened in this time? All Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, was in a Gentile estate. After the fall of Rome, and then the Lord fulfilled and brought forth Daniel 7:8, that small horn, Jake was scattered 4 corners of the earth, more expanded to other lands, right? And then that ended, that began this end age, which Lord willing I could do this lesson right after this. Lord willing this is not too long, but the end of an age. Matthew the 28th chapter verse 20 and 2nd Esdras 6 and 9. They both go hand in hand, right? Now I just gave out a spoiler alert, so you can go read that for yourself. Go look up the word in that verse for world. It's not the same as John 3:16, right? Because it has an actual meaning of being the end of the world or the end of an age. When you read it in another translation, especially like the NLT, it's going to say the end of an age. Okay, but let me not spoil it for you. Okay, so Lord willing that made sense. So again, the election is not random nor based on works. Yahweh chose Israel for his purpose. And let me just get this in Romans, right, which a lot of us like to butcher, but let's just try to make it plain. Okay? It's not by works. Truly, it's by who was predestined. But works is included. Even though things is predestined, even though we're in a grace period, works is still in the midst. Faith is still in the midst. Those that fear the Lord, those that obey, those that believe are going to do works. Those that believe and sure, they're going to move off of faith. Okay? Those are the tools that we have. But let's get into this. This is Romans the 9th chapter, and I'm going to read the person comment, verse 7. It says, neither because they are the, actually, let me read 6, not as though the word of the Most High have taken an effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. So you have Israel that are of the flesh and Israel that are of the spirit. Those that are of the spirit is really Israel. Galatians the 3rd chapter, the real children of Abraham is those of faith. Because we see in Wisdom of Solomon 7, the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai will make you a friend or a prophet. We read a verse where Abraham was a friend of the Heavenly Father. Abraham had faith. We've seen it in Genesis the 12th chapter, Genesis the 22nd chapter. He was willing to leave his family. He actually did it. And he was willing to put to death his son, Isaac. Okay? Verse 7, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. Now, let's sit back a minute. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called, because Abraham had 8 sons. But only one seed was called. That was Isaac. Okay? That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High, but the children of promise are counted for the seed. Just symbolic. If we saying, if you got Ishmael, Isaac, and all his other sons, only Isaac was called. That means all the other sons was of the flesh. The same as Isaac having Jacob and Esau, Jacob was called, Isaac wasn't. That's the reason why Rebecca did what she did. Not really just off of being crafty, even though it might look like it. Is because she believed what the prophet told her when she acquired a message from the Lord that the elder should serve the young. Esau was the eldest, so he had to serve the young. So she heard correctly, and she did what she was supposed to do, because Esau was the seed of the flesh, not the seed of the promise or called. Let alone as a foreshadow when we look at the 2/3. Right? I'm getting a little deep. I'm trying to just say this because we're here. The 2/3 of Israel are the children of the flesh because they're going to die on this side. They're not the children of the spirit. They're not called or chosen on this side. Okay? We're a chosen nation, but as those that get salvation, only the elect are chosen. The rest will be destroyed. So they that are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed, which is the Israelites. For this is the word of promise: at this time I will come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, this is the same point I just said. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the promise of the Most High according to election might stand, not by works, but by him that calleth. So it's not by the works that Jacob did, not by the works that Esau did, it's because the Lord calleth. We already read Isaiah 46:10. Can't get around it. The Lord declared the end from the beginning. So it was set up that, especially when we go from Adam all the way to his other son Seth, then the chosen bloodline come, and then the flood come, the flood of the whole earth. Then the Lord repopulate the earth through the sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Then through Shem, the chosen bloodline is coming back. Then he calls Abraham. Then he called his seed Isaac, which he had Ishmael first. He didn't get called. Isaac did. And then Abraham had other sons. They didn't get called. Then Isaac had two sons. And Jacob was called. Plain and simple that this was a divine selection. That's what Romans 11:7, where it says the election have obtained it. Go look up the Greek word for election. Eklege. The Strong's definition for that word means divine selection. So Abraham, Isaac, Jacob was a divine selection, just as the 12 tribes was a divine selection. Okay? Verse 12. And it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. Esau is the elder, Jacob is the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. He has a perpetual hatred, right? Because Jacob was only set up to be that future whooping, that spiritual sword for Yahweh Shem Yahushai on behalf of Israel to fulfill his lot, which is really ruling the third kingdom, the Greek, the Roman kingdom, which is the fourth kingdom, and the revival of the fourth kingdom, which is the little horn in Daniel 7:8, which is the NATO and EU, right? The European Union revival or rebirth, what we would say started with the Renaissance, okay? But you can keep on going. The Lord's going to have mercy on whom he's going to have mercy, compassion on whom he's going to have compassion. He had compassion on Abraham, had compassion on Isaac, had compassion on Jacob, had compassion on Israel. No way around it. We have to accept it because the world was made for their sake. Okay? So now we're going to hop to 2nd Esdras 6:56. But I want to keep my word. The brother said, I believe this is a brother. He said, just wondering why you use a different language when you call the Lord by name. Just wondering what the significance is. The only reason I ask is because I only know English. I super know English. I'm not super fluent with Hebrew, but I believe when we go, let me see if my mind is not playing games with me. You know, because if I gotta look it up on Google, we can. But I believe I can get it. This is Isaiah, the 19th chapter, in verse 18, right? Because this is all prophetic, okay? Verse 18, it says, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to Yahweh of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction. Now, when you go into Revelations 11:8, it said that their dead bodies shall lie in that great city, right? Being dead from the neck up, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Sodom, synonymous with Sodom and Gomorrah. America is that great city which pushes LGB. Spiritually called Egypt because Egypt is the house of bondage. before America and when it became an empire in 1776, before and during, America was a captivity for the Israelites to fulfill what was in the scriptures. Until 1969, when the Rakakwadosh fell on the Israelites, starting with Abba Bibbins, nobody was speaking this pure language, speaking the language of Canaan. Canaan did not speak modern Hebrew. They were speaking Paleo Hebrew. So if I go into this blue letter, and because my screen, I don't know, I don't think I can flip it. Let me see. No, I can't, so I don't know how to, okay, I can't flip it. But if I go to the blue letter and you go to the word, especially in Exodus, the 3rd chapter, when the Heavenly Father told Moses his name was Yahweh, when you go to the blue letter, it says Jehovah. Now, that would be modern Hebrew. So if you actually follow the actual modern day alphabet, which I actually have on this phone, let me see. I don't know if you guys can see it. The modern alphabet is on the bottom. The ancient Hebrew is at the top. Okay? So with these alphabets, going to the blue letter, they would try to use the certain symbols to make up Jehovah. But if you actually got this and you use the same symbols, shapes that they go to, and go to each one, brothers can be able to show that it's not Jehovah. It's actually saying Yahweh. And the same thing with Hebrew. Hebrew words have meaning. So when I'm saying Yahweh, it means he is, he exists, or he to be. Now, we'll just go to a few verses to back certain things up. When I say the name Yahweh Shai, which is the Son of the Most High, which the world English calls Jesus, when you go to Matthew 1:21, it says he shall save his people. Yahweh Shai means he saves, he delivers, or he is salvation, because salvation means deliverance. Hebrew has meaning. So I just want to make this quick because you asked that question, and I know people get stuck. And this is why we say his name, because it's supposed to be a teaching for those that don't know, where they ask that question and be like, oh, snap. Oh, that's why okay, so his real name is this. Now I'm about to use it. You see this whole lesson, I'm speaking in English. But when I say the Father's name out of respect, I'm going to say his actual name. Because Isaiah 52:6, he says that he will manifest his name. In the NLT, it says he will reveal his name to his people. Reveal means you're taking off the veil. How can he reveal his name if I'm going to just say Yahweh or Jehovah, when we could go to precepts like 2 Esdras 3:34, and it says that the Heavenly Father's name, or Yahweh's name, is only found in Israel? How many nations is saying Jehovah, Yeshua, Jehovah, Jesus, Lord, Most High? How many nations is saying those names? But you only see Black, Latino, Hispanics, and Native Americans saying Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That right there, through the Spirit, because my spirit bear witness, that has to be the name. Because that verse alone cuts every other aspect. How only Black, Latino, and Native Americans is saying Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and no other nation is. That kind of makes 2 Esdras 3:34 makes full sense. So this is the prologues of Sirach. In this yellow paragraph, it says, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. So they came short of words. So even when we go, when people say, oh, Deuteronomy 23:7, how are you saying is a clerical error? This was being translated. So from translation, from Hebrew to multiple different languages, and now it's in English, they 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 tripped over a word. But if you are a student, it's okay to search these things. Okay, don't hurt yourself. So he said that they came short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another language have not the same force in them. So me saying Yahweh and another person saying Most High or God or the Heavenly Father is not going to have the same meaning, because we're saying his name. When you say Heavenly Father, that's not his name. Heavenly Father, Father is a title. I am a father. I am a dad. That's a title, but that's not my name. Most High, that is a title. That's not his name. When you say the Son of Man, that's not his name. That's a title. When you say Jesus, that's not his name. Let alone if you was to translate that back into Hebrew, right? Or really, from when you go into the gospel, 3 languages: Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. In the Latin, it was Jesus. King James 16:11, it says Jesus. But when you go and translate it back to Hebrew, it's going to say Yahweh Shai. So it's really putting more respect on the Heavenly Father's name, because it says things translated into another language have not the same force in them. Not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the book have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. So when I read Ezekiel 9:4, where it says M-A-R-K, mark, in Paleo Hebrew is going to be Thawah. Modern Hebrew, I think it says Tav, but in ancient Hebrew, it's going to be Thawah. So that's going to have a stronger meaning, let alone the meaning of Thawah means a mark of exemption. But if I go in the New Testament, Revelations 13, 16, 17, M-A-R-K, mark. You can go to these precepts that I just said. Revelations 13, 16, 17. The word M-A-R-K in the Greek, mark, is charagma. That is a, because that's in the New Testament, that is a Greek word. Okay? So they're not the same thing. One is in Greek, one is in Hebrew. So brothers is saying those things for better understanding, let alone if I'm speaking about the Heavenly Father, me making it a difference by saying Yahweh. And then if it's speaking about the Son, I say Yahweh Shai. It allows you to actually know who I'm speaking of. And I gave you the meaning of both names. When I say Yahweh, it means he is or he exists. So let me just get this and then we'll get back into the lesson. The water for the question. Respectfully asking the question. I appreciate you asking it in the way that you did. So, Lord willing, you actually heard what I actually said. So this is Hebrews 11:6. Again, Yahweh means he is, he to be, or he exists. This is Hebrews 11:6. But without faith it's impossible to please him, for he that cometh to the Most High is a title. So he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Yahweh Shai does not mean he is. It means he saves, he delivers. He is salvation, he redeems. Yahweh, he is, he to be, he exists. So you have to believe he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Yahweh, he is. When you go into Genesis 3, when he told him, I am have sent you, it's Yahweh saying I am. But on our side, we say he is. You understand? A lot of people always, oh, his name is I am. Then they try to use that in the Hebrew to say that that's his name. No. Genesis 3, verse 14. For the Most High said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am, have sent me unto you. Yahweh can say, I am. But for us, when we speak of him, he is. He is sent me. But now, when you go to verse 15, it says, and the Most High said, moreover, unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh, power of your fathers, the power, or the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob, have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all the generations. And that word, the Lord, is in all capitals. So when you translate the Lord in all capitals back to Paleo Hebrew, it goes back to Yahweh. When you go and try to do modern Hebrew, it's going to say Yehovah. But ain't no E's, O's in the Hebrew. Okay? Right? If I just say some of the alphabets, which I have right here, I'm going to just say some of them. You got Ka, Ya, Ta, Ka, Za, Wa, Ha, Da, Ga, Ba, A, Tha, Sha, Ra, Ka, Ta, Za, Pa, A, Sa, Na, Ma, La. You don't hear no O, U. You don't hear none of that. Okay? So, hey, that was edifying for me too. But I got a few lessons on my channel going into the naming. I actually show how can you look it up. I'll show you in the videos. But you would have to do your diligent search to look on the channel to see which video that is. Makes sense. I have always called him Yahweh, but I know it's spelled. Yeah, and when you put the E, that's not it. Because literally it's that Yahweh, what they say is Hebrew, stemmed from Latin. But you put a A in between the Y and the H and the W, and the W and the H. You put three A's in there, and it's going to say Yahweh. Yah is he. Hawa is or exists. Okay? And another thing, I'm about to give you another thing, and then you could take that home with you. This is another precept just to show you, to give even more confirmation, because if you got the name Jesus or Lord, or say the Heavenly Father is Jehovah or Yehovah, and Jesus' name is just Jesus or Jesus. Jesus and Yahweh are not mixed together. They don't line up together. So let's see, when we read this is Exodus, the 23rd chapter, verse 20. Behold, I send an angel. Angel means representative or messenger before thee to keep thee in the way. St. John, the 14th chapter, verse 6. This is Yahushai in the spirit, being an angel, a representative. Because he was always there. He was always dealing with Israel, doing whatever the will Yahweh wanted. So he would keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. This is the point. Where's the point? This is the point, verse 21. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So your name is in him. Let's back that up to prove this is synonymous with Yahushai. Let's go to St. John, the 5th chapter, verse 43. It says, I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If anyone shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. So if he come in his Father's name, let's look at it. Now, my screen is backwards, so Lord willing, you can look at it. I'm sorry that I can't flip it, but I'm trying to do the best I can. So let me brighten my phone up again. So if you look at the screen, This is Yahweh. And then this name right here is Yahweh Shai. So within Exodus 23 and 21, St. John 5 and 43, my father's name, wait, the father said his name is in his son's, in the angel's name, right? So St. John 5 again, verse 43, I am come in my father's name. So this is the Son of the Most High, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh. So that means Yahweh Shai comes in the name of his Father. Because you can't say the Son's name without saying Yahweh. Yahweh Shai, Yahweh. Where do you hear Yeshua or Jehovah and you hear that Jehovah in Jesus? Jehovah in Yeshua. Jehovah Yeshua. It's not lining. You don't hear the Father's name. That don't even rhyme. It don't make sense. Let me get this last one. And then we'll go to the lesson, because I love speaking about the name. So this second Esdras chapter 3, verse 34. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell the world. And so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. So if his name is only found in Israel, I said this earlier. Go look it up for yourself, and and whenever you see me do a video again, you send the link in the comment section and show me what nation as a whole been saying Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Because you see every nation saying Yahweh, Jehovah, Yeshua, Yahuwah, Yah, Jah, Jesus, Lord, Most High, God. But you don't hear no other nation saying Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. And I'm saying as a whole, because he said, that joint just said, so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Israel is not just one person. It's a multitude of people, but on this side, it's really the elect saying his name. You even got some Jake that's still in the world saying Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, smoking a whole blunt, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. His name is only found here. I seen people of other nations, and they say, hey, no, you don't believe in Jesus? They say, well, no, we believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. And they would say, oh, Yeshua? No, we didn't say Yeshua. We said Yahweh Shai. And they would still say Yeshua, and we're saying Yahweh Shai. It still cannot say it. Okay? So, literally, that's plain and simple. For anybody that don't know, the Heavenly Father name is Yahweh. The Heavenly Father's Son is Yahweh Shai. It's not Jesus. Okay? That's not his name. His real name is Yahweh Shai. He has the same name as Joshua and the same name as Sirach's grandson, which is 3 people in the scriptures, technically, that got the name Yahweh Shai. Joshua, grandson of Sirach, and Yahweh Shai, the son of the Most High. Plain and simple, man. Okay? So, again, the brother asking a question, which you actually, you sounded sincere, so I appreciate that. So, going back to the lesson, Lord willing, you got that. I can't force you. Lord willing, your spirit bear witness. What is true and what's not. So this second Esdras chapter 6, verse 56. I'm going to read 55 again. All this have I spoken before thee, O Yahweh Shema Shai, because thou madest the world for our sakes. We already went through multiple precepts, but I'm going to just speak on a few more. Deuteronomy 4:8. What nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20. He only gave the laws to Jacob and to Israel, his servant. Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh Shemashai thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh Shemashai thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Right? Exodus 19:5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So the nation of Israel is going to be a peculiar treasure to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai forever. Okay? So verse 56, as for the other people, the other 17 nations, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but to be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. That means they're nothing. You know, the last drop from a vessel is nothing. So that's what he said the other nations is. The other nations was created to be servants under the Israelites. Because what is a kingdom without servants? Some people might get offended. Oh, why you do that? But none of y'all ever complain about the Egypt captivity, the Assyrian captivity, the Moabite captivity, the Ammonite captivity, the Hamite captivity, the Ishmael captivity, right? The Arabs captivity, right? The Persian captivity, the Greek captivity, the Roman captivity, America captivity. We're all servants. In Rome, they called you subjects. Jacob Rothschild said he want a country of workers and not thinkers. We are subjects unto them. When you can go, anybody can go look this up. If you're paying tribute money, you are a slave. Now, all the other nations is slaves too, because they've been conquered. Even you white people, you're being conquered by your own damn people too. But Israel, the only thing that's different because of the Israelites is because we have sinned. Right? Now, before I get all these multiple precepts, just to show that they are spittle, I just want to get this in Daniel the 9th chapter. This should solidify the difference between the Israelites. Daniel chapter 9, verse 11. It says, yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law. Where is it at about the other nations pertaining to them transgressing the law? It's really in effect to those the law was given to. Even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice, therefore the curse is poured upon us. Deuteronomy 28, the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that which is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. This is why we're in captivity, because we sinned against him. And he have confirmed his word, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. Right? The temple got destroyed, had to get rebuilt. Then Yahushua prophesied before he went up to the Father that not one stone shall be left. In the time of Vespasian and his son Titus, they overthrew Israel and destroyed the temple. And Jake went and fled to the African mountains, some to Europe, but a lot of them fled to Africa to fulfill, which later on was going to happen, where Ishmael and them was trading us, our daughters for wine, and our sons for wine, and our daughters for harlots. Okay, they was turning us out. Ishmael, Ham, and then eventually Esau came, and they even made trade with the Hamites to bring us over here. The same thing that Esau did with the natives. They was killing them, let alone some of them damn natives with some of the northern kingdom. What they do, just like regular Jake, they became coons, like in the Greek captivity. Man, since we can't beat them, let's join them. Okay, so it's multiple precepts we can go into. That makes it different for this captivity, for any nation being conquered. That's a difference between the Israelites and other nations. We're conquered because we sin. We're conquered because we made a sacrifice to another God instead of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, a false God at that. So the Lord is going to deal with us way worse. Amos chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Go read it. So again, 2nd Esdras 6 and 56. As for the other people, which are nothing, but to be like unto spittle. So compared in value, the other nations is nothing. The other nations hold no covenant position. Where's the precept they hold a covenant position? I'll wait. I haven't found it. But let's go to Isaiah, the 40th chapter, and let's read verse 15. It says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as a small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. This is the same thing Ezra said, right? And people say, oh, I don't subscribe to the book of Esdras. Esdras is the same person that was spoken of in the book of Esdras and Nehemiah. He's the same one that went back to the land to rebuild the temple. Go read Esdras chapter 4, verse 1 and 4, where the other nations were trying to stop them from building the temple. The book of 1st and 2nd Esdras is by the priest Ezra. Okay? So he's saying the same thing as Isaiah. Now dropping down to verse 17, Isaiah 40:17, all nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. Right? The nations are meaningless to Yahweh Bashem Shai. When you go to Sirach, oh, that's not fair. You guys say that. What you picking that up with me? Yahweh Bashem Shai set this up. He declared this. Okay? The chosen bloodline was supposed to be rulers of the earth, right? So to be rulers of the earth, you're going to have servants. If the whole nations is above all nations, how are they going to have servants if everybody's speaking about a kingdom on earth? Kingdom means kingship. Who is you going to be a ruler over? Yourself? Your own people? No, we're all going to be in royalty. Who's going to be underneath us? The nations. Okay? So this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, and Apocrypha, chapter 39, verse 21. A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he hath made all things for their uses. All things. The trees, the air, water. What else did he make for his uses? People, nations. You were all made for a purpose. Okay? Was Jake a homeborn slave? You know, we fucked up. But we wasn't meant to be a slave. So now we got to drink of that cup. Okay? So let's go to Psalms. Let's get the classic. Right? These other nations is nothing. This is the supreme example of them being nothing, because that law, the covenants, the oath, the everlasting covenant, if we don't got no breakdown verses by nations being spoken by name, they don't have no comparison, no equality with us. This is Psalms chapter 147, verse 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob and his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgment, they are not known, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. When you go to 2nd Esdras, the 3rd chapter, it says, none of the nations kept the precepts, only Israel did. But in the kingdom, we're going to have to teach the nations the law. We're going to be a kingdom of priests, kings and priests. We're not going to be teaching one another. We're not going to teach our brothers and our sisters. We're going to be teaching the heathen. Right? Let me just read this real quick. Zechariah, the 14th chapter, verse 16, it says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the king Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacle. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain, right? It's going to be drought, right? So if no nation is keeping the Feast of Tabernacle, how they going to know about the Feast of Tabernacle? We're going to teach them. We're not teaching our brothers no more. Let me just prove that, Lord willing. Is this the one we want? Just to make this quick, let me gotta look this up. Not that preset. Wait, hold on. I don't think that's it. Is this it? I thought it's another one. It's another one. But let me just get this one. Actually, let me see. I think Hebrews, the 8th chapter, but I believe it's another one. Hebrews, the 8th chapter. Let's try Jeremiah 31. If this is the Old Testament, this is the New Testament one. So let's see if we can find the Old Testament one. Jeremiah 31 verse 34. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 34. It says, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. Speaking about the neighboring tribes, not the neighboring nations. No, the neighboring tribes. If I'm in Judah, my neighboring tribe, Gad, Naphtali, Manasseh, right? And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. Because he pardoned the nation of Israel through the elect. That's why when our children come back, they're gonna come through our loins all righteous, with a new spirit and a new heart. They're gonna be afresh automatically, right? With a glorified body. But this is not speaking of the nations, because from verse 31, it's speaking about the new covenant. And it says, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. He's not making a new covenant with the other nations. Let's back it up with in Hebrews, the 8th chapter, verse 11. Right? Oh, the New Testament is going to speak about the other nations. Hebrews 8 and 11. I'll say that verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel, speaking about the 12 tribes of Israel, the southern and northern kingdom. After those days, saith Yahweh B'Shem Shai, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people. Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, starting at verse 24. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor. Who is the teachers? The men. And every man his brother, saying, know Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest. Who's the least? Those that actually come back through the loins of the men of the Lord, because the Yahushai said, the least in the kingdom is going to be greater than what John was. The least in the kingdom is the 2/3. The least in the kingdom is not the 1/3. They're just in a lower bracket in the kingdom, because the top rank is Yahushai, David, the 12, and the rest of the 144,000, which is the mighty men, the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, really the priests. Then you have that great multitude accumulated, Revelations, the 7th and 9th chapter, which is men, women, and children that believe, that get translated, get beamed up on this side, which are believers, and they are a part of the elect. Okay? So that the greatest starts up from where we said Yahushai, the 12, the 144,000, all the way down to the multitude. The least would be those that come reborn in the kingdom through the loins of the men of the Lord, claimed basically the 2/3. That's going to be the least in the kingdom. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. In that he saith a new covenant, he hath made the first old, now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. And that's going to be fully set up in Yahushai when he returned. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakapadash. So now, it's another one that I kind of spoke of ahead of time, but let's just get it. Amos, the 3rd chapter. Whew. So I can go. Got out of work. It's getting to me. This is Amos, chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. It says, hear this word that Yahweh hath spoken against you, O children of Israel. Who's the children of Israel? The southern and northern kingdom that got separated or divided. Okay? But Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, we are not going to be two kingdoms no more. We're going to be one stick, one kingdom with one head, which is Yahushai and the Prince David. So hear this word that Yahweh have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. All nations is a family. That's why when we read, whenever I do that lesson, 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter, verse 24 to 27, we call it the 7 favorite things of the Lord. One of them is, out of all multitude of people, he chosen one people, and he gave them a law, those he loved, which, Lord willing, we do the video, I'll actually read it verbatim. Okay? So therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So out of all the nations of the earth, he's punishing us for our iniquities, our transgression from from our sins, that we committed by turning away from his laws. Okay, that's a intimate relationship. When you read Amos 3 and 3, chapter 3, verse 1 and 2 in the NLT, Salaki family, it says that the Lord had an intimate relationship with the nation of Israel. He didn't have an intimate relationship with the other nations. So this is a covenantal language, not teaching hatred, or let's be more direct. It shows spiritual ranking, not creation equality. Okay? But just to correct that point, Yahweh hates Esau with a perpetual hatred, which out of all nations, Obadiah 1:18, Esau will be destroyed. But really, when it comes to the teaching, the Lord makes a huge difference between the nation of Israel and the other nations. There's no way around it. There's no need to really freaking argue about it. But this is 2nd Esdras 6 and 56, but now we're headed to 57. It says, as for the other people, which is the other 17 nations, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but to be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. So these same nations that mean nothing to Yahweh Bashem Shai, began to be lords over us. How? Because of captivity, right? Let me see in my arsenal. Okay, before I get these other precepts, let me get the ones I have set up. So Israel suffers captivity even though they are chosen. Why? Because of disobedience, right? And the Lord wants obedience. So let's just get the classic. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, starting at verse 43. It says, the strangers that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And it's nations that dwelled in the midst of us that became the head, and we became the tail. But directly, especially in the time we're in right now, the so-called YT, the Edomite, the white man and woman, became the head, and we became the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. So we could tell that we're destroyed when you see a whole bunch of men being LGBT community and say, I'm trans and I'm this and this and that. And our women, like this Edomite in the Congress said, you could look at the state of a nation by the women. You know, and if you look at the Israelite community, women are exceeding men, which Yahweh Shai said, he's going to do a new thing on the earth where women will compass a man. Yes, we'll see in finance, when we see when it comes to laws like getting child support, or when there's a separation in marriage, all the children go to the women, which most of the time women will win in a divorce. Everything on this side, women get more tools on this side. Of course, women are treated more softly, right? The women can dress all fake, but then say if a man is, you know, pushing fake vibrations, fake all of this, of course he's gonna get made fun of, you know, other brothers, but by women. But say if a woman is all fake and then she's pointed at, now it seemed like, hey, you bashing women so much, and so much. Let alone when we look at the music, a woman can be half naked and show ass and titties. I'm just being straight raw. But let a man have see-through shit and his McNuggets out. It's different. Even though men, we shouldn't do that. Even you women shouldn't do that either. But I'm just saying, on this side, this system is based on women winning or shining or being over a man, right? Single house home is mostly children with their mother. You know, you'll hear more of a man being a deadbeat than a woman. You know, it's so much. When we look at welfare, even though it was really for low-class Edomites, but when Jake got on it, it was all to implement a movement to get the man out of the house so a woman can depend on Esau. And then a man is only getting so less out of his check and his pay that when he comes home, he can only just pay for the light and this and this and that. And let a woman have that nigga mindset. She be like, oh, you paying all the bills, but now I ain't got money in my pocket. You know, we getting less. But even back then, we was making less and we was still making ends meet. It's just this captivity, women see so much that they want the most. The Lord created a new thing in the earth. Women are surpassing man. Right? I just had to say that point. Verse 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Because thou servest not Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, and in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Especially in this time, whatever you want and need, you got to go to your, oh, I make my own money. No, you don't. Yes, you might have your business, you might have that, but technically you don't make your own money. Because if I was to be an asshole, if you was to make your own money, that means you got your own printing machine and you're making your own money. Everything a woman says she don't need a man, um, your phone. If you don't need a man, throw your phone out. You don't need a man, throw your car out and go make you a fucking car. You don't need a man. Majority of every house is made by a man. Oh, it's one I seen a sister. You only seen one. Mostly construction businesses ran by men. So go build you a house. Right? Even though a woman came up with the umbrellas, guess what? She still used the tools to get that all started by a man. Your lace fronts and a wig, even though you women, a lot of it came from you women here. But when you even look at them East Indians, it's men that's doing the distribution. The men set that up. Makeup, men came up with that. Let alone they using pig bone marrow, just a pig bone marrow just to make makeup for you. Even lipstick. Okay, cologne. Hey, women make perfume and all that, but it's all orchestrated by a man. James Brown said it to all of y'all. This is a man's world because the Lord created that way. He said he removed kings and set up kings. It's not about no queen. Now, if a woman is a queen, she become a president, yippee-ki-yay. But the world is really ran by men. You know? But we can go on and on with man. So strangers rising above Israel to show that these nations, yet they rule over us. Why? Because we have sin. And I already brought out precepts on that earlier, but let's keep it going. We're almost done. Limitations. The 5th chapter between the Egyptians and the Assyrians really leading to the Babylonians. This is Limitations, chapter 5, verse 1. It says, remember, O Yahweh, what has come upon us, consider, and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Basically speaking about foreigners. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Water is just a natural source in the earth. Wood is natural source in the earth. You got to pay for wood and water. Just sidebar, you women need to humble down. You paying for water just like me. Then you got celebrities, they paying for Louis Vuitton and Gucci, but they really paying for the name. Guess what? You still buying water too, and water is free. You get a ticket if the government or however they do it, because how the hell they gonna know you collecting water? But if you collecting water, you'll get a fine. Our necks are under persecution. We labor, have no rest. Guess what? A lot of us, I know if the job that I'm gonna have, if the MOTB don't come yet, I'm gonna be working this job until the famine of the word and that MOTB come. I'm gonna be working the same job. If this job fail, I'm gonna be getting a whole nother job because, again, Jacob or David Rothschild said he don't want a nation of thinkers. He want a nation of workers. So when you look at billionaires or trillionaires or those that where you can't even tell how long their money is, and they got general or what is it? Generational. So like I said, generational wealth. That's the Rothschilds, the Morgans. That's all of those that made money from before slavery, during slavery. They still making money on that cotton. Okay? We have no rest, so we're going to have to keep working just to pay rent, just to pay a light bill, just to do this. Just imagine if you didn't have downtown assistance. You know, and this side, even though, because now we making more money than what they was back then, even though $1,000 was way more, you feel like you was rich back then. Bread was cheaper, but over here, it's more of an inflation. A lot of things is higher. Some of us brothers, we couldn't even make it. And a brother, he dealing with a girl. This is why, you know, some people might shun and look at it differently if a man was dealing with multiple women. But guess what? All those multiple women might have their own income, right? But then I mean, from my time, if a brother was dealing with a woman, most of the women was doing something, you know. But of course, on this side, we get a lot of lazy, you know. Some women having multiple children, and they ain't got no babysitters. They, you know, they ain't making no money. So at the end of the day, that brother is gonna have a doodle check, and he's providing the house. And this women want to go on this date. They want to go here. They want to go here. You should be understanding these scriptures. We labor and have no rest. You go out to eat, damn near you just spent a quarter of your check, and then you looking at, oh man, I gotta pay for this and pay for that. Some of us don't have no consideration on that. We are in freaking captivity. We get excited when we get bread. And I know you, Jake, know what the heck I'm talking about. Okay? We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Syrians to be satisfied with bread, right? We submitted to work. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. We are our forefathers. We have sinned, and now in this generation, we have borne that. Right? The same as in that physical getting whooped. Go watch Goodbye Uncle Tom. That's the same for this verse. Our fathers have sinned. They was their forefathers, and we have borne their iniquity. So getting beat with that whip, and you watching, oh man, I couldn't handle that. Yeah, you might, but guess what? If you in this time, you about to get your butt, man, the MOTD, Family of the Word, martial law, or Jacob Trouble, man, we gonna get hit with that wave. And through the Spirit, like the apostle said, when you go to Revelations 9, where it said, don't hurt the earth or the grass, he said that wasn't speaking about literal grass. It was speaking about, you know, those of Israel, because it said, only smite those that don't have the seal. Ezekiel 9:4, the seal is the name of the Father, or the Thawah, the mark of exemption. Like Apostle Tahar said, which I fully get through the Spirit. He said, your forefather, or, you know, in the time of World War One, those that did not get bombed on and get destroyed during that war, the Lord preserved them because their descendant was going to be of the elect. So, first talking to you men, a lot of you men that's in this truth, like Apostle Tahar said, he said, my forefather was preserved, and now I'm here. If I'm of the elect, he's going to be saved through my loins. So the men of the Lord that's on here, that's holding these seeds, you were a descendant of one of your forefathers back then. And I'm not saying mother, because the mother don't have the seed. So just as you women, now you're going to be saved through your husband, but through the loins or the McNuggets, the sperm of your father, which you are a descendant, you can be one of the elect lady because of one of your forefathers was of the elect. It first start with the men because they hold the seed. Okay? A woman, because she is the elect, my daughter and my son. The seed comes from the father. So it's really, if the father was of the elect, that daughter, you are of the elect because your father was preserved, because the Lord is seeing through him that his seed was going to be of the elect. His seed was going to be chosen. Right? Let me just read that. Let me just read it because I just brought it up. All right. Dang, I didn't even think this lesson was going to be that long. I guess when you get excited, you get in there. This is Revelations chapter 9. Is it 9? Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, I think it is 9. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay, this is Revelations 9, verse 3. It says, and there came out of the smoke the locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpion of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they, and the locust was representing the, what's it called? I forgot let me go to Let's do a fact check. What is the planes called that they used in World War One? They got the DH-4 Liberty. You got the Sopwith Camel for British, the SE-5A, the Bristol F.2B, the Fokker Doctor 1, that's Germany, Fokker Doctor 7. Um, French had the SPAD. It's another one. So, like, I just want to get this name right. They were fighter planes. Inductor, right? That was the locus, right? The World War warplanes that they used, right? I just had to make sure y'all understood that. You can go fact check it and look it up for yourself. And it was commanded, verse 4, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree. But that would be impossible if they shooting in this man on earth. Because where's the grass at? It's on earth, right? So it wasn't directly speaking about grass. It was speaking about men. Well, who is this men? But only those men which have not the seal of the Most High in their forehead. Revelations, the 14th chapter, what is the seal? The name of the Father, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai. Spiritually, line up with Ezekiel 9:4, the Thawah that I said earlier. So, in verse 5, so don't hurt the earth, but only those that have not the seal. That means those that did have the seal, that spiritual Thawah, because right here it gives me a side precept, Ezekiel 9:4, right? Mark those that sigh and cry for the abominations that be done, right? Mark those. What is that mark? A Thawah, a mark of exemption from judgment. So those men at this time and women had a mark of exemption from judgment. So that means they were preserved for what? So that their descendants later on at this time would cleave in this truth, because World War One was in what, 1914? I forgot what time it was. Let's see. Let's get it. You can fact check it. It started in 1914. Verse 5. In them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. What's 5 months? Mean 5 years. 5 years. That's how long World War One lasted. 5 years. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he's striking a person. Because usually, depending, like especially the ones that's venomous, it could shoot you and you'll die instantly. You know, or freaking have heart failure. So when you so from July 28th to 1914, all the way to November 11th, 1918. When you start from 1914, 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918, that's 5 years. That lines up with Revelations 9 and 5. Okay? Yes. Um, so now let's get this precept and then we'll move on. Lord willing, y'all catching what is actually being said, man. This is Hosea chapter 1, verse 9. Then said the Most High, call his name lo on me, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in a place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. This is not speaking about the time of Yahweh Shai, because in the time of Yahweh Shai, the Israelites knew who they was. You know, of course, we had to edify the dispersed, you know, the foreign Israelites that were scattered in other nations, but the full tuition of Jake not knowing who they was in this captivity. The northern kingdom, they knew who they was. They was saying the name of Yahweh Shemal Shai, but again, being in the flesh, right, being away from the Lord, guess what? They started to drift off like Jake always do to other gods. This is why the northern kingdom got overpowered. You're not just getting overpowered for no reason. It's because they transgressed and turned away from the Lord. And then the southern kingdom did the same thing. This is why they were taken to truly fulfill the southern and northern kingdom being oppressed together and brought to the north country. And this is the place where we're said that we're not the people. So Hosea, him getting a whorish wife in the first chapter, was symbolic to Israel. His wife was synonymous with Israel because the nation of Israel is a whore, because we have many lovers as philosophies. Then they had to have 2 children. What did it say? Have a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, because the southern kingdom and northern kingdom are whores. Starting with the northern kingdom as a whore, and the southern kingdom was more treacherous than its sister Israel. So we're 2 whore sisters. Okay? Simultaneously, Israel is in the major captivity, even though it's 4 corners of the earth. Israel as a bulk is in Babylon, and in Revelations, the 17th chapter, it calls Babylon a whore. There's whores dwelling with each other, man. I see what you saying. Calculate it. If you say 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918, that would be 4 years. But when you read Revelations 9 and 5, it says 5 months. That's 5 years. So the year it start, it count. Right? Let me go back to that. Right? So the year it started in July. That's still what? July, August, September, October, November, December. You still got 6 months in that year. So you still have to count that year. You don't just jump and say 1950, 1916, 1917, 1918. Yeah, that's how you gonna count it. But if we was to look at the prophecy, it was 5 years, 5 months. You gonna count it when the war started. Right here it says World War I started July 28, 1914, and it ended November 11th, 1918. So that means you gonna start count the year it started. So it started in 1914, 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918. Infinito. You're not about to start the next. How you going to start count the next year if the war started in 1914? So if we're going to just say, hey, let's forget 1914, but let's just jump to 1915. 1914 don't count. That's bugged out. You know how many people died in 1914, starting from July 28th all the way to January 1st of 1915? A lot of people died, so you're going to start count in 1914. Let me go back to Revelation 19. The Lord actually, what it say? Thus saith the Lord. The Lord knew what he was doing when he told John, a revelator, right? When he seen this vision, he wrote it down. He said, write it down in the book, right? Let me get this. Revelations chapter 9 again, because why wouldn't the Lord say 4 months? He said 5 months. because the year that the war start is the first count. So Revelations 19 and 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of scorpions when he stricken a man. So the 5 months is speaking about 5 years. So this is speaking about War One. Okay? Because later on in this chapter, Revelations chapter 9, verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So John the Revelator was seeing World War One in a vision. And even in this vision, it said one woe passed. World War One passed, and behold, two more woes hereafter. When you go to Revelations 11:11, in this vision, it says the second woe was past, speaking about World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, speaking about World War III. How is Babylon, or how is this world going to end? The end of this age? World War III, Armageddon, or Armageddon. What they say, Armageddon? Armageddon is World War III. That's the third woe. Plain and simple, man. If you don't get it, I can't force you. The Lord said 5 months, which is 5 years. So when the war started, you count off with the first year. Even if it's 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, it doesn't matter. Whenever the war started, which it even says right here on AI overview, what I looked up, the date that it started, that was the count of when World War One started. Right? But if from this calculation, if you was to count it your way, it would say 4 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Right? Because how are they counting? They're counting from 1915 to 1918. But if the war started in 1914, you're going to count the year the war started. Sorry, we agree with what Yahweh Bashim al-Shai had John the Revelator see. 5 months is 5 years. Okay, since we got that, nailed that down, I got some other ones. When you go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8, it says, behold, we are yet this day in our... Wait, just a sidebar. For anybody that's heard me just say that, and read Revelations 9 and 5, and then count and explain it. If anybody get it, put a 1 in the comment section. Hurry up, put a 1 in the comment section. If you don't agree or see it, just put a 2. And guess what? Be like Beyonce and slide to the left. Okay? Baruch chapter, put a 1 in the comment section if you understood that. Baruch chapter 3, verse 8, it says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh Shemashai Apollo. Right? There's no date on it, because simultaneously, Jake through all captivity, this verse always will hit. When you go to Luke, the 2nd chapter, starting at verse 1 all the way, I think, to 6, in the time of Yahushua being born, King Augustus taxed Israel, or taxed the known land that Rome ruled over. So guess what? Baruch 3 and 8 fits that criteria, right? Even in the time, I think, when Ishmael, hey, you can use that. Okay, in the time of when the Renaissance came, and they established law and order, or their legislation over here, and they created their economy, Baruch 3 and 8 became in full effect in Babylon. Okay? We're scattered, 4 corners of the earth, even more now than ever, and for a reproach and a curse. This is a curse, not being in your homeland. Okay? And to be subject to payments. Insurance. Insurance was funded from slavery. You can go look at health insurance, car insurance, all those insurance are funded, or They were funded by slavery. Rent, you pay taxes. That's all a form of you being in captivity, according to all the iniquities of our fathers which departed from Yahweh Shemashai. So this is the cause and effect. Exodus 21:16, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Guess what? Who stole us? You got Esau, what he did to the northern kingdom, and what he did to the southern kingdom. Later on, after that 1,000 years, Esau shall be put to death. So this shows we are a stolen people. Shalom to the brother Yeremiah, Yahweh Shemashai Barakatah. Ezekiel 3:11, and go, get thee to them of the captivity and to the children of thy people, and speak unto them and tell them, thus saith Yahweh Shemashai power, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. Right? And who is those of captivity? I already explained earlier, the difference between the Israelites being in captivity from the other nations is because we sinned, we served other lovers or other gods, other philosophy, and other wine. The other nations, you just been conquered. Just stupid, you just been conquered. And Esau conquered his own people. We are not in comparison, okay? Isaiah 5:13, therefore my people are going into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. When you look at Revelations 11, verse 8 all the way to 10, how did we get consumed the way we did? Because we had no knowledge. The Lord broke us down, really, when you look at what the Lord told Paul. Before the coming of Yahweh Shai had to be a falling away, then after the falling away, the man of sin, the son of perdition, shall be revealed. That time was not fulfilled yet. But now we're in the time where the man of sin is being revealed. Isaiah 61:1, the spirit of Yahweh Shemashai power is upon me, because Yahweh Shemashai have anointed me to preach the good tidings, which is good news, unto the meek, which is the humble. He hath sent me to bid up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Simultaneously, the captivity in the prison is your lower estate. This is us in prison, where you have to have an ID to, of course, drive a car, but have a license or ID, a enhanced license, a passport just to go travel. You are in prison. You know, you can't just do whatever you want. But let alone, in another sense, Jake is in prison houses, right? Jeremiah, do I want that one? I get it. Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? We are spoiled and we are servants, right? We're not, through the Spirit, we are homeborn slaves because a lot of us was raised in where we at. You wasn't raised in your homeland, you know? And even Jake that's raised in his homeland, you don't run that. So we're really raised as slaves, homeborn slaves. But as a true, if we was to give a full, honest answer, Jake, you're not really a homeborn slave. You're not meant to be a slave. You're not even meant to be a nigga, man. You know? That's not us. We were meant to be royalty. We wasn't meant to be spoiled. But when you look at Judges 2:14, because we made the Lord angry, the Lord left these other nations to approve us, and they spoiled us. Okay? I mean, we could keep on going with that point, but I'm not going to drown that. So let's just go. So the election does not erase judgment. Disobedience brought domination by other nations. This is why 2 Esdras 6:57, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us, to devour us. And that's because of our disobedience. It brought the domination by the other nations. So we had to become the tail. It's a domino effect. This is a cause and reaction, and we deserve it. So 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 58. But we thy people whom thou hast called thy firstborn, they only begotten, and thy fervent lover are given into their hands. The nations prosper outwardly, while Israel suffered under curses. How are the nations benefit outwardly? Money. Right? Slavery was a multi-billion-dollar industry. Even when you look at cotton, they making millions, right? Let's actually see. Let's look at some statistics. Okay. So a total wealth generated from the labor of enslaved people in the United States is difficult to calculate precisely, but an estimate of the value of their forced labor in today's dollar reached as high as 97 trillion. The market value of the nearly 4 million enslaved people was estimated at 3.7 billion, equivalent to over 42 trillion in modern currency, making them one of the nation's largest capital assets, worth more than all the U.S. railroads, banks, factories combined at the time. So even when you look at it, they don't want you black Latinos and natives gone, because even we go to statistics, what race is the number one consumers? Usually black Latinos, Native Americans are the number one consumers. How the heck we the top consumers and we're poor? Like Jake don't have none, so when they get a few dollars, we hurry up and go get it. Okay, so let's see how much they made off of cotton. So the amount of cotton made varies globally by use, with U.S. producing about 14.4 million bales wait, hold on. Let me add more detail to it so it can make more sense. So it says the production of cotton generated immense wealth, making it the most important American commodity in the leading U.S. export during the period by 1860. Enslaved labor produced over 2 billion pounds of cotton each year, which accounted for 2/3 of the global supply and nearly 60% of all American exports by value. The economic impact: in 1790, almost no cotton was grown in the U.S. By 1860, production had skyrocketed to approximately 4.8 million bales annually, a direct result of the cotton gin invention. That's about it. There's other points we can go into: sugar, tobacco. If we was to look at sugar, enslaved people produced enormous quantities of sugar, which was profitable. It was white gold and became the primary economic driver of the transatlantic slave trade. The sugar economy in the Caribbean alone generated an estimate 12 million tons of sugar between 1690 to 7090. So 12 million tons of sugar between that time. How much more in this time? Let's look at tobacco. And I'm only going in, I'm dealing with slavery because everything starts from the foundation. So this is what made America, starting with the elites on down, rich. Because I got a book in my house, How White Folks Got Rich. It tells you that Uh, a lot of the riches that the Rothschild got was from the slave trade and the cotton. And how cotton was back then is the same how gold is, how oil is now. So how they made money off of cotton and still making money off of cotton, they're even making money off of oil because even they had a relative that made the oil industry. They are the elites, man. Okay, no fucking way around it. They saying in 1622 about 60,000 pounds in 1622, over 20 million pounds per year by the end of that century, all through the labor of enslaved people. Um, for tobacco, but it's saying equivalent to approximately 191 million in 2023 off of tobacco. But I know that's it's probably way more, right? Like we could keep on going, but you gotta really think the clothes that's all in America. It all stems from slavery because before slavery, during slavery, a little after slavery, the clothes, the fashion you got now was not even around. Okay, so uh, not about to keep y'all too long. You know what? What I'm gonna just do is I'm gonna just skip these other precepts and I'll just go to the closing ones for each point. This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 6. Um, it says, "Ye were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath. Ye were delivered unto your enemies, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High." You know, you got a lot of Edomites that think like they got you, they conquered you. No, Yahweh Shema Shai set it up that they was able to get us. He didn't do nothing. The Lord delivered us in your hands, right? So Israel delivered to the enemies, not for destruction, but for correction. Psalm 73, you can go read this for yourself, verse 2 to 12. The wicked prosper and increase in riches. That's a beautiful chapter. Jeremiah 10 to 25. Let's get my notes. Jeremiah, Slaki, okay, Jeremiah 10 to 25. Pour thy fury upon the heathen, for they have devoured Jacob. Okay. Just going back to 2nd Esdras 6 and 58. But we thy people whom thou hast called thy firstborn, that only begotten, and thy fervent lover are given into their hands. Okay? So Israel's suffering, the Israelites suffering, is temporary discipline, not abandonment. Right? This is a whole correction. And the only ones that's gonna get it is the elect. So look, hey, it's either you're the elect or not. Luke the second chapter, verse 34. Because of Yahweh Shai, he is going to be the rise and the fall of many in Israel. And the hearts of many are going to be revealed. Right? Which the 2/3. The last verse. 2nd Esdras 6 and 59. If the world now be made for our sakes, backing up verse 55. Why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Because when you go further up in this 6th chapter, Ezra was asking, when was the end of the age? When was this going to end? This is how you know those that was really connected to the Lord understood and knew this was not it. Because what was promised to Jacob. That's why you always going through the scripture like, man, with Jacob, you supposed to rule the kingdom under these nations. The nation gadget over here saying that Esau is not going to be a slave. He's just going to be destroyed. No, all nations was meant to be servants under us. So Esau going to have his lot in his day. When we get that kingdom where they going to be a servant for a point of time and then they going to be destroyed. The other nations will go back into their own land and they're going to be subject under us for generations to generations. So, Second Ezra 9, Second Ezra 6 and 59 that we just read. If Israel is chosen, why are we still in captivity? Second Ezra, the 7th chapter, in verse 11. Because for their sake I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Right? The world was done. Right? And that means this world has a date on it. Not the world as a whole, like, oh, the whole world's gonna be destroyed. This age has a mark on it, because you sons of God was not meant to live mortal lives. You're supposed to be immortal. You're supposed to be gods on the earth. The Lord made the earth for your sake. We were not supposed to be in captivity, but it was set up for us to be in captivity so we can understand wickedness. And when we get in the kingdom, we're going to be full in righteousness. We would never go off again. And we're going to be full gods, because we fully going to be in what the serpent said. We're going to know good and evil. Okay? Verse 12, it says, then were the entrance of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail, and they are but few and evil, full of perils, right? Terrible and very painful. For the entrance of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straits and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them, which is speaking about the kingdom. What Yahushua has prepared for the elect, for Israel as a whole, but for the elect, if you don't endure and overcome this situation, you're not going to get that benefit. It's really to get salvation on this side. Right? What happened with Israel? All Israel in the time of Moses, they all left Egypt. But being in the wilderness, they all got destroyed. Guess what? The 2/3, you being destroyed on this side. The elect gonna get that change in body. It's so much benefits to what's about to be established on in Yahushua's arrival. Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter, 5 and 6. The elect tested like gold in the furnace. Acts chapter 1, verse 6 and 7. The kingdom is coming, but in the Father's timing. Let's actually get that one. Let me get that one, because even the apostles had their mindset. Yo, you about to establish the kingdom? Acts chapter 1, verse 6. And when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time or the season which the Father hath put in his own power. Nobody knows this time, but it's in Yahweh's time. He's about to set us up, man. And it was in that time, because Habakkuk 2 and 3, everything is for his appointed time. Isaiah 60 and 12, nations that refuse to serve Zion will perish. Go read it. Daniel 7 and 27, the kingdom given to the saints of the Most High. When is this going to happen? In the Lord's time. Let me just get that Habakkuk 2 and 3. And we about to close. Just got to say this last statement. Habakkuk, let me see. Where you at? Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Right? So the question points forward to the restoration. The elect will inherit when judgment is complete. So I got this lesson that I want to do. And I don't know if we probably brought out some precepts we're going to go into. But the title of this lesson I want to go into, because for us to get this kingdom, judgment has to be complete. Our kingdom, our salvation is connected to Esau's destruction. So the title of this lesson I want to do, if it's not after this, later, or tonight when I get off of work early, or tomorrow, Esau has to be taken out of the way. For the elect of Israel, to get their kingdom under Yahushua. Better yet, let me make sure I can say this right. I want to make sure I say it right. Esau must be taken out of the way so the elect of Israel can receive the kingdom under Yahushua. So in order for us to get that kingdom, judgment must be complete. For judgment to be complete, that means Esau has to be taken out. He fucking has to go, man. Excuse my French, even though I ain't speaking French, but I mean it. He has to be taken out. Okay? Just like Pharaoh was, but it's going to be even greater. Okay, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. The whole point was 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, verse 54 to 59. Verse 54, all nations created from Adam. Verse 55, Israel chosen as the Most High's portion. Verse 56, other nations have no covenant position. This is why they are they are nothing. 57 and 58, Israel suffers despite election because of sin, because of disobedience. 59, the kingdom is reserved for the elect in due time. The kingdom is reserved. You know, like when you got a reservation at a restaurant, nobody can take your spot. Nobody can take your seat. If you at a certain businesses, like let me say New Era, because I used to do the hoods at New Era, the fitted. Yeah, I mean, I know y'all know. They got certain parking spots that say reserve. You can't sit in the reserve if this is not for you. So the elect, the kingdom, the salvation is reserved for you. So Lord willing, you striving. A lot of people want to push away, you know, the books of the books in Apocrypha, but this right here is a plain definition of understanding that throughout history, all the apostles and prophets always went back into the law and the Psalms. And of course, when we go in the New Testament, they went into the prophets. We are in a time of doing the same thing as our forefathers, going into the history. So Esdras was going through what, because you have to know, later on, the Revelation, 2nd Esdras, the 14th chapter, Ezra rewrite the first 5 books of the Bible, okay? But in all the Israelites' history, especially those that were believers, the children was always taught the law, statutes, and commandments, the things that were written in the first 5 books of the Bible. So if you were raised up as a prophet, when the Lord was dealing with you, prophets came to teach the word, to give the sense to the other believers. So Esdras, the things that was written, not just only for his sake, but for the election's sake. When is going to be the end of the age? Because Jake was not meant to just live to 80, to be immortal. We wasn't supposed to be slaves. So what we read in 2nd Esdras 6, 54 to 59 is to let you know, Jake, you are different. The Lord set this up. Now, just because you can't get precept upon precept, line upon line, that means the Lord is not dealing with you when it comes to the spirit, because it is a puzzle. This is a mystery. Okay? Scooby-Dooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo gang are not the only ones that can investigate. Sherlock Holmes is not the only one to investigate. CSI Miami are not the only investigators. The men of the Lord investigate the scriptures, right? They're seeking Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Seek in the Hebrew is Darash. Investigate. So we have to investigate. Why is this? What about them? What's that? Wait, who is this for? Why us? Let me wonder why us. Okay? So investigate the scriptures. Have the mindset like the people of Berea. Have a readiness mind to hear the word. Search the scriptures daily as it was so. Right? Be persuaded through the Rakak Wadash. But with that, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the one true power that always makes it possible. Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Almighty Shalom to the hopeful elect. that are scattered four corners of the earth in the same spirit. Teach his word and believe in his word, Lord willing. You'll all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Akwaf. Lord willing, you continue to pursue your lot. And Lord willing, Yahweh Shemashai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not the faith. With that, shalom, shalom, above all.